Magnesium is one of those supplements that get recommended every single day, and a lot of people are taking it on a daily basis. But the problem is, if you aren't taking the right form for your specific goals, you might not actually be getting the bang for your buck. So in today's video, I want to talk about the different forms of magnesium, why you might need magnesium, and what to look out for on the label if you are going to buy a supplement. But before we do that, just a quick introduction. My name is Melissa Nell. I'm a registered dietitian and I'm part of the Body 20 Nutrition Doctor team. Please do follow along as we do these videos every 2 weeks, and you are very welcome to send us any questions via WhatsApp or email. Okay, so let's just quickly backtrack a little bit to what does magnesium do? Why do we need it in the body? So magnesium is very important for a lot of processes in the body, including, for example, your nervous system function. It's involved in energy production. It's involved in stress and anxiety management. It's involved in muscle contraction. So that's why we see, if you're looking at magnesium supplements on the market, you'll see that they are being marketed to prevent cramps. They're being marketed to help with sleep. They're being even marketed for brain fog and cognitive function or health. We see that if you do have a low magnesium level, that might lead to muscle cramps. It might even lead to constipation. You might have symptoms like, for example, like I mentioned already, brain fog or anxiety or fatigue in general. So generally speaking, you should be able to get your magnesium in your food every day, because magnesium is naturally found in foods like, for example, nuts, seeds, dark green leafy veg, and your dark chocolate. So if you are eating those foods, then you probably should be getting enough magnesium already. So women should be aiming for 310 to 320 milligrams per day, and men 400 to 420 milligrams per day. So who is at risk of having a low magnesium level? Generally speaking, your athletes that are exercising a lot, or people generally don't need to be an athlete necessarily. If you are exercising a lot and you're sweating a lot, you might be losing a lot more magnesium through your sweat. Or if you are someone that is under a lot of pressure or a lot of stress, or you're struggling with anxiety and even poor sleep, you might actually, and muscle cramps, of course, you might be having a low magnesium in your body. All right, so now let's talk about magnesium supplements. So when you buy a magnesium supplement, you're not buying magnesium on its own. You're buying magnesium bound to another compound. Now, this compound can be something like citrate, oxide, it can be your chloride, it can be glycinate, it can be threonate, it can be taurate, malate, and the list goes on. Now, this compound that this magnesium is bound to actually is responsible for where it's going to work in the body and what effects it's going to have. So this is really important to look at the form of magnesium. So don't just grab any magnesium supplement off of the shelf. Actually turn it around, look at the label, and then decide whether this is the right one for your specific needs. So let's go through the list of magnesiums that are typically found on your shelves or on your online stores if you are, looking into buying a magnesium. So your very first type, or not first type, but one of the types of magnesium, for example, this one is magnesium threonate. Now, magnesium L-threonate is a little bit more expensive, and how it's really different to the other magnesiums is L-threonate that the magnesium is bound to is the only form that can actually cross the blood-brain barrier, meaning that it can actually go into the brain and work on the brain, for example. So you can just imagine that magnesium L-threonate is definitely going to be effective in cognitive function, cognitive health, brain fog, focus, mental clarity, and that type of thing. So if you are someone that's struggling with those types of symptoms, then this magnesium might just be something that you can look into. However, I mentioned already, it is a little bit more expensive, so just be mindful of that. The next one we have that is really amazing for sleep is magnesium glycinate. So magnesium glycinate, for example, like in this Pillar brand, if you turn it around, you'll see it says magnesium bisglycinate. Glycinate is actually a very relaxing and calming compound, and it's really well absorbed and gentle on the stomach. So if you're someone that's struggling with sleep, magnesium glycinate is your go-to. Next up, we have magnesium citrate. For example, here, magnesium citrate is really good for your muscle recovery and just general recovery and muscle or magnesium health. It's also a little bit more cost effective. The one thing that you need to bear in mind with magnesium citrate and magnesium oxide is that it might cause a bit of a runny tummy if you are taking high doses of it all at once. So be careful of that. And if you are someone that is struggling with constipation, opting for magnesium citrate or oxide might actually be a better bet for you, because then you'll definitely get the gastrointestinal benefits from it. But if you're someone that's already struggling with, an upset stomach or GI issues, then I would say be mindful of not taking in too much of the magnesium citrate and oxide. If we look at this magnesium complex, for example, it contains a combination of magnesium, which is sometimes also nice if you are someone you want it for sleep, but you also want it for recovery, and you also want something for your gut. So this is actually a really good product. So it contains glycinate for sleep, citrate for muscle recovery, but can also help a little bit with your stomach. Then it also contains malate. So magnesium malate is bound to malic acid, and malic acid is actually involved in energy production system in the body. So this will definitely be great for people that are exercising a lot, that need a little bit of an energy boost and that type of thing as well. And then it also has magnesium taurate. So magnesium taurate is another form of magnesium that has also been shown to be well absorbed and actually has been shown to be beneficial in heart or cardiovascular health. So this is a really nice magnesium to kind of take all of them into one little capsule, for example. So it is really important to look out for that. Your common magnesiums you find on the shelves that are a little bit more cheaper might be your magnesium oxide and magnesium chloride, and there's nothing necessarily wrong with that, but it really depends on your goals and what you want to try and achieve with your magnesium supplement. And a really important note that I want to mention and just bring across is that if you are going to take high doses of it, it might cause diarrhea or loose stools, so that's not necessarily something you want, especially if you are already struggling with that or if you don't have constipation. But if you have constipation, then that might actually be helpful for you. Now, the last point that I want to make is if you are going to buy a supplement and you want to look at the label, which is really important, the first thing you do is you want to look at the form. Like we've already mentioned that the different forms actually work on different areas in the body and have different results. So it depends on what your goal is, what you want to achieve. That's the first thing you look out for. And the second thing you look out for is the amount. So what's really important is, let's say, for example, your magnesium supplement says 500 milligrams of magnesium. That's not necessarily the magnesium. That might be the magnesium glycinate whole molecule is 500 milligrams. So if you want to know exactly how much magnesium is in the product, you need to look out for elemental magnesium. So that's also something if you are comparing brands or if you are comparing products to each other and you want to know exactly how much you're getting, then that is a really good way to look out for it. What I also recommend to stay away from is if you are looking at a supplement and it's not showing you any dosages, it's not showing you the forms of the magnesium, I would typically rather stay away. So I hope this has been helpful. I hope it brings you a little bit more certainty and a bit less confusion in when it comes to which magnesium supplement you should use. Generally speaking, a well-balanced diet with variety, including nuts and seeds and green leafy veggies and so forth, is also, of course, your main priority, but then you can top it up with a specific magnesium, whatever is your problematic area that you've identified. That might be helpful, but it's always important to note, like I always say, you don't ever want to replace your diet with a supplement. It's just on top of it. I hope this has been helpful. Let me know if you have any questions, and I'll see you in the next one.